Getting sound. There it goes. All right. What is good, everyone? Let me send the message that I'm starting up. All right, we chillin'. So let's start the party with a paper our good friend Corey Campbell has put onto his Substack about a fight that he has had on Wikipedia before I get to the fun Elon conversation. Because I hate to say it, but seems like Elon is the remedy we might have been looking for this whole time as he miscreated his way through all of this nonsense. All right. So Corey's paper, I proved the internet and Ivy League academic wrong. It took years. My attempt to provide accurate information and what it says about our current age of misinformation and disinformation, which is apropos, I say, at this point. Close that up. What's good, Changebox? And by all means, feel free to pop in for this one because I probably will not even understand what I'm reading as I read this, but I am intrigued to read it. So, fair warning, the beginning of the story goes back almost exactly 2 decades. I've been a fan and supporter of Wikipedia since basically its inception. A free encyclopedia accessible virtually anywhere that anyone can edit. Sign me up. And eventually, I did sign up. It was, and still is, my go to source for any topic I want to get a broad overview on, or my starting point prior to any subsequent deep dive using other sources. I've witnessed this evolution over the decades, from entries being hit or miss in terms of quality today, where, as far as I can tell, every entry on a major topic seems to be detailed and well sourced. I'm one of the rare readers who actually donated since, according to Wikipedia, only 2 to 3% of readers actually donate. In a letter to Corey. Dear Corey, thank you for your donation of $50 to the Wikimedia Foundation. The Wikimedia Foundation is a nonprofit organization that supports Wikipedia. So he's basically showing, he actually donates money to this entity and he appreciates its use. And I think that's awesome. And the fact that he's actually putting in, I'm not streaming on Twitch. Oh, I did not start the Twitch. Thank you for letting me know. Sometimes I forget to push the extra button. How's it going, Ancom? Appreciate it. So this is an article on Corey's Substack that I'm reading about his fight to get his Wikipedia stuff where it needs to be. Like the vast majority of people, I was just a reader of Wikipedia. I contemplated editing some pages since I had a genuine desire to contribute to the endeavor, but never took the plunge. That is, until a few years into my usage when I came across information in an entry that I felt compelled to correct. Little did I know that my edit, motivated by a desire to provide accurate information, would set off a back and forth Wikipedia war that would last years. Thankfully, Wikipedia appears to maintain detailed records of all revisions that allows me to revisit and put on full display how this war played out. Oh, this is going to be juicy. It was the summer of 2005 where I was fresh off completing my first organic chemistry course. I decided to read a few Wikipedia entries on some of the topics in the course that I felt I needed to brush up on, just as I'm sure everyone else does once they've completed a course. I've learned about enantiomers. See, this is why I need this is why I need Changebox. Enantiomers in the course, and I was curious about the contents of the respective Wikipedia entry. No surprise to me, it was a bare bones entry with few paragraphs of content. What are enantiomers, you ask? In very lay terms, they are a pair of molecules that, at first glance, might look the same but aren't actually the same. Specifically, the molecules are images of each other that cannot be superposed. In a conceptual
Wait,
sense,
you were asking for Changebox instead of me? What is wrong with you, my dude?
oh, he's been asking to come on for a minute, and I know he knows science and other good stuff, so.
I'm like, you're going over science shit and you didn't ask me on. I am offended. No, not really.
I mean, you're always welcome.
I know. Also, why are you looking or reading this article in the most like narrow, squeezed in? Like, it's taking up like less than a third of your screen in the middle, and it's just
Let's.
white on either side,
I
and
don't know if I can make
absolutely
it bigger.
unreadable on stream.
Can I make it bigger? Let's see if I can
Probably
make it bigger.
Control. I was gonna say in your browser you can do Control Plus. It zooms in.
Okay. See if this helps out. Thank you for that.
Yep.
Just boomering my way through this. Let's make it even bigger.
There we go. Now it's readable.
And a little bigger yet. That might be the. That seems like money right there. Bruh.
Yeah, Zephyr, he never pays attention to YouTube chat. I had to come over to his Twitch chat while Twitch was offline to tell him that it was offline.
I learned something today. Well, I'm going to learn a lot of things today. Okay. Oh, ignoring so many things at the same time. Isn't it amazing
Actually,
what we can get away
he
with?
didn't ignore you here. He didn't ignore you here, Changebox. It's just that he wasn't streaming on Twitch, so you didn't see him responding to your Frist message.
I thought I did respond to Changebox, but maybe my mic wasn't working yet. I don't know. I'm
No,
having
no,
technical
you did
difficulties.
respond. You did respond to Changebox, but you did so before you started streaming on Twitch, and he, I'm guessing, was not watching you on YouTube.
So where are we here? Okay, so I completed a course. I had learned about enantiomers in the course and was curious about the contents of the respective Wikipedia entry. To no surprise to me, it was a bare bones entry with a few paragraphs of content. What are enantiomers, you ask? Okay, so yeah, let me go down, superpose. Okay, here we go. In a conceptual sense, as the entry also says, your left and right hands are enantiomers. If you place your right hand on top of your left hand, or vice versa, the thumbs are neither aligned or on top of each other. Your index fingers are neither aligned or on top of each other, etc. or etc. Why does this matter? It matters in the same way, and even more so when it comes to molecules. When you put on a pair of gloves or shoes, most people don't enjoy wearing their left glove or left shoe on their right hand or foot. Your right hand doesn't recognize the left glove. And this definitely matters if you're the type of person to wear toe socks. Strictly speaking, when it comes to the spatial arrangement of the fingers and palm on each hand, your right and left hands are not the same. Turns out molecules can also have handedness, which is what enantiomers are. A pair of molecules that are mirror images of each other, but aren't actually the same, i.e. cannot be superposed. It may seem like a trivial thing, but not taking this into account has had historically horrific consequences. Many, if not most, organic chemistry textbooks cite the case of the pharmaceutical drug thalidomide when we were talking about enantiomers. Ooh, I learned about this while talking to an unhinged individual not that long ago. Thalidomide was actually turning people into dolphin people. Like kids were born with
Okay.
like flippers and whatnot.
Oh, you're talking about like not polydactyl. Shit. There's a specific name for the condition where you have like webbed feet and fingers. I'd have to look it up. Syndactyly. That's what it is. Syndactyly. That's when you have webbed toes or fingers.
Until we invented bounce dryer sheets, socks could coincidentally get inverted to the wrong foot. That's why all the left socks disappeared.
And so they just started only making right socks, and now every pack of socks you get is all right socks.
I was told that it was elves of some sort that just really like one specific sock. I don't know, Zephyr. $36 is good. I just don't know that I would spend $36 right now. Like we got Prime Day deals going on. I might want some things. So yeah, thalidomide. While the right-handed version of the molecule had the intended sedative hypnotic effect, the left-handed version of the molecule resulted in severe birth defects. A quick summary of the American Chemical Society can be found here. I think we already talked about it without having to go there. It was like the right-handed killer in South Park, and the detective kept using his left hand instead. Exactly. Handedness makes a difference. To all the lefties out there, finally some validation.
Turns out, in fact, all life on Earth is left-handed. Like, all of the molecules that make up life on Earth are left-handed.
That's wild.
From your DNA to every protein in your body.
Jeez. Didn't know that.
Yep.
So many things
The
we're gonna
lefties
learn.
actually rule the world.
Yes, we were tricked by the right-handed mafia into not knowing the true power we hold. So in chemistry, two stereoisomers are said to be enantiomers. Am I pronouncing that correctly?
Enantiomers, yeah.
Okay. If one can be superimposed on the mirror image of the other, enantiomers are mirror images of one another, much as a right hand is a mirror image of the left hand. The enantiomers plane polarized light by equal amounts but in the opposite directions. A solution of equal parts of an optically active isomer and its enantiomer is known as a racemic solution and has a net rotation of plane polarized light of 0. A more in-depth explanation of this is in the footnotes for optical isomerism. Enantiomers will have the opposite prefixes of each other. D becomes L. Dextro becomes levo. Plus minus becomes minus minus. R minus becomes S minus.
Well, okay, the minuses aren't really the important here. It's so D and L, dextro and levo. So like if you've ever had a medicine that said it was like D something or L something, R something, S something, it's indicating what kind of isomer it is. So like when I was on ADHD meds, I would get Adderall, which is amphetamine and dextroamphetamine, right? So that means this particular medication contains both isomers of the amphetamine molecule, both the right-handed and the left-handed version.
Damn.
Yeah. So that's something you'll see on medication sometimes. It'll be something that you see in chemical names because, especially when it comes to like biochemistry, but just chemistry in general, the isomerism of a molecule matters. In fact, there's a lot of situations, especially in medicine, because as you change the isomerism, you change the handedness of a molecule. Yeah, if you change the handedness of a molecule, it changes which receptors on your cells it can actually interact with. So this is one of the reasons that thalidomide had the effect it did, because the right-handed version interacted with the parts of your brain that allowed it to give you that, relaxing sensation, but the left-handed version fucked with your fetus. So they had to reformulate the drug to get rid of the I believe it was levothalidomide was the one that they had to take out. They have to go back and
This version is
ask
right
your
or left.
doctor which.
Oh, that's a good one. Oh, wow. This is an interesting term. Stereochemistry of enantiomer. So stereo left and right channels.
Yep.
Interesting.
Yep.
Is of great importance nowadays. The FDA of the United States of America recently recommended that drug molecules having stereocenters should be given to the patients only in the active enantiomeric. Damn it, he keeps upping the ante on this word
Yep.
form and not as a racemic mixture.
So basically, only give people either the left or the right when you're like testing new drugs. Because if you give them both, you won't know which enantiomer is producing which effect.
Oh. And yes, I'm saying I learned something from Skeet Sauce, and it's already being useful. It's hilarious. It had nothing
And
to do with the
it's funny that
conversation, but
Yumoon mentioned everyone knows about thalidomide. It sounded sarcastic, but I'm like, this was literally mentioned in Billy Joel's "We Didn't Start the Fire," so they damn well knew about it in the '80s.
I mean, that's when we were having those interesting defects. Back in the day, we called him Tildy. He was like, so definitions. Any non-racemic chiral substance is called a scalimic. A chiral substance is an enantiopure or homochiral when it comes to one of two possible enantiomers is present. A chiral substance is an enantio-enriched. God damn, he keeps throwing me left curveballs. Sorry, not left curveballs with this word. And heterochiral when an excess of one enantiomer is present, but not in the exclusion of the other. An enantiomeric excess, or EE, is a measure of how much of one enantiomer is present compared to the other. For example, in a sample with 40% EE and R, the remaining 60% is racemic with 30% of R and 30% of S, so the total amount of R is 70%. Wikipedia entry on enantiomers as of July 10th, 2005. To those paying
Fuck
attention,
you, Zephyr. This is the fun part. Shut the fuck up.
hurry up and get to the low level stuff. If only.
Mm.
I've been meaning to read this for like 3 weeks now, and I keep forgetting because I end up in a bunch of madness. And hey, we can catch it now, and then I get to talk about why we need Elon Musk in our lives.
Okay, so it says, okay, I wasn't looking for problems with the article as we were reading through it. So now he says to those paying attention and reading the above entry closely, you might be able to spot the one word in the opening sentence I wanted to change. Can you scroll back up so I can see that sentence?
Which sentence? What are we here?
A scalemic is a non-racemic enantiomeric solution, Zephyr. I literally just learned that because of reading this article. So fuck off. See, a little bit higher. It should be the very first sentence of the Wikipedia clip. Let's see. In chemistry, two stereoisomers are said to be enantiomers if one can be superimposed on the mirror image of the other. Yeah, I don't like the word superimposed there. It's a little confusing. So I think maybe that's the one he wanted to go after.
He wouldn't tell us what the word he kept changing was, but he said he got into a battle over changing one word in the Wikipedia for multiple years. So I'm like dying to see what we get to. To those paying attention and reading above entry closely, you might be able to spot the one word in the opening sentence I wanted to change. The opening sentence is very confusingly worded, which I actually didn't realize initially, but there was one word I was certain had to be changed for the sake of accuracy. It might seem like a silly detail, although it's actually not. But I wanted to change the word superimpose. You nailed it to
Boom!
superpose.
Got it!
You got it. I quickly created an account that moment for the sole purpose of making the edit, even though I hadn't realized at the time you didn't need one to make any edits. Either way, I wouldn't have wanted to make anonymous edits anyway.
And no, Zephyr, stereoisomers are not the same as enantiomers because not all stereoisomers are mirror images of one another.
So we're seeing the entry here, and we're seeing the edits. Solutions for soup. Soupwis. I'm going to leave that alone. My Wikipedia account showing the creation date and all of my contributions. I quickly chose a username by combining my nickname from high school and the initials of said institution. Westmont, okay. Westmont High School, yes, the same high school as Kamala Harris. As you can see, all of my contributions over the course of about 3 years have to do with the Wikipedia entry on enantiomers. That's because, as we'll see, my initial edit on June 12, 2005 set off the aforementioned edit war that lasted all those years and then some. Before proceeding further, one may, understandably, be asking themselves, what is the basis of my edit? How do I know I'm correct? How do I know I'm correct is a testament to the importance of having good professors along with the ability to conduct research independently. When I took organic chemistry, we got to the topic of enantiomers, and we got to the professor, to their credit, explicitly emphasized this point, that it is superposed because to superimpose just simply means laying one object on another. They also mentioned that the rules dictate that it's superposed. What rules were they referring to? They were referring to the rules dictated by the International Union of Pure and Applied Chemistry regarding chemical nomenclature. Virtually every student on the planet taking their first organic chemistry course will be introduced to some of the fundamental rules of the IUPAC nomenclature. Instead of randomly naming organic molecules like was done in the past, we use this universally recognized system. Oh, so now we know that there's a reason why these things. You went to Ridgemont High, where the time's fast.
And yeah, IUPAC has been around for a while, and they have set up a very specific way of naming chemicals. So, like, if you go to almost any Wikipedia page on a chemical, in fact, here I'm just gonna open up. Let's see, Wikipedia caffeine, a good one that a lot of people say. So I gotta find it here. All right. So the IUPAC name for the molecule caffeine is 1, 3, 7 trimethyl 3, 7 dihydro 1H purine 2,6-dione. And that is a chemical name that if you know how to read it, which to be fair, I don't entirely, but if you know exactly how to read that name, then you also know the exact chemical structure of the chemical that you are reading the name of. So they developed this naming system specifically so you can read the name and know the precise chemical structure.
There we go. I wonder if Whiteoz is missing this, because I know he likes sciencey shit, but I don't know that he likes this kind of sciencey shit. But I don't
Well,
care.
he's not on your Discord, so he didn't get the notification. So he can suck it.
Just send him a DM real quick. Okay, so after verifying it myself, turns out the professor was correct that the rules do indeed dictate that it's superpose. Nomenclature of alkanes. This is a word, okay. An introduction to the IUPAC nomenclature. What is Zephyr on about? Is he crashing out already? We just started the stream. In the early 19th century, organic compounds were often named at the whim of their discoverers. Here are a few examples. Oh, that's such an asshole way to name things. Formic acid, isolated from ants and named after the Latin word for ant, which is formica. Urea, isolated from urine. Morphine, a painkiller named after the Greek god of dreams, Morpheus. Barbituric acid, Adolf von Baer named this compound in honor of a woman named Barbara. That had to be a penny dropper right there. Hey, I named acid after you. The Riz they had back then.
And no, Zephyr, 2,2-dimethylpropanol is not an enantiomer of 2,2-dimethylpropanol because 2,2-dimethylpropanol is not a stereoisomer.
So
Fuck
Moon
off.
asks, I get you can understand elements in the chemical, but can you understand the shape of a molecule from a name?
You can reconstruct it. Like, the name gives you all the
One
pieces
more
you
time,
need to
Zephyr. You
reconstruct.
got this. I believe in you.
Uh, formic acid is also called methylic acid. I haven't looked that up.
The crash out is palpable.
Actually, you're wrong. The systemic IUPAC name is methanoic acid. Methylic acid is one of the other names, but if you're going for either the preferred IUPAC name, formic acid, or the systemic IUPAC name, methanoic acid, you're wrong on both
And I'm
counts.
going to say his D key isn't working properly. So, a large number of compounds were given names that became part of the common language shared by chemists. Many of these common names are still used today. As the number of known compounds grew, a pressing need arose for a systematic method for naming compounds. In 1892, a group of 34 European chemists met in Switzerland and developed a system of organic nomenclature called the Geneva Rules, not to be confused with a convention, which no one seems to care about. The group ultimately became known as the International Union of Pure and Applied Chemistry, or IUPAC, pronounced IUPAC. That will save me time in the future. The original Geneva Rules have been regularly revised and updated and are now called the IUPAC nomenclature. I just keep learning things from this. This is already amazing. This is good writing. I can't even complain. It's the Geneva checklist, he says. That's basically what they're doing right now. How many rules can we break in this convention before anybody actually does anything about it? And we'll see when we get there. And check number. Okay, so seeing this, I don't know if I want to read all this because that's a lot. But just to go with the underline, the IUPAC is the universally recognized authority on chemical nomenclature and terminology, and two IUPAC bodies take leading roles in this activity with the multiple divisions and all that other good stuff. As IUPAC says on their own website, they are essentially the global authority on chemical nomenclature and the terms used in the chemistry world. So what does IUPAC say in regards to the definition of enantiomers? Who's Corey? Everybody keeps asking who Corey is. We've seen Corey
Y'all don't
Campbell.
know Corey Campbell?
We have seen this man on multiple Prime panels every Monday. The quiet Canadian that tends to rake Gibbs over the coals every chance he gets. A true gem of a human being.
The badass Canadian biochemist to defeat all others?
Yes, yes, indeed, Moon. So we got the definition. One pair
Yes,
of
Amphibious, the dude in Prime Kai's panel.
yes, that dude. One pair of molecular entities which are mirror images of each other and non-superposable. An enantiomorph. So that is the definition that we are looking at. No surprise, the online version of IUPAC's Gold Book says that the enantiomer is one of a pair of molecular entities which are mirror images of each other and non-superposable. They even seem to emphasize superposable by italicizing it, and if you actually click on the link, it brings you to another entry explaining what exactly it means to be superposable. What's more, if you look at the sources, they cite two of them, one from 1994 and one from 1996. Do you know why? Because IUPAC made the exact same modification that I was attempting to make on the Wikipedia page. And we're seeing it here. Enantiomer, one of a pair of molecular entities which are mirror images of each other and non-superimposable. Oops, they whoopsied for a minute. And so in the recommendation from 1994, one of a pair of molecular entities which are mirror images of each other and non-superposable. See also enantiomorph. That is just flat out awesome. Well, Whiteas is too busy eating to care about what we're doing, but he said he may open it just to give us a view. And I think there's not much more we could ask for. No, not necessarily doing quantum physics only today, but I've been saying I was going to read this paper for some time. I asked for it, he sent it to me, and then for the last 3 weeks, it slipped my mind to read it. But I also knew it was pretty dense. And then after
Yeah.
that,
And no, this is biochemistry more so than anything to do with quantum physics.
well, yes, I didn't want to correct them on that because after I read long enough, we'll know what it is. In their 1994 version of their glossary of terms used in physical organic chemistry, the definition includes the word non-superimposable. But in their 1996 version of basic terminology of stereochemistry, the word is changed to non-superposable. The fact that IUPAC made this change themselves indicates to me that the distinction between these two words matters. I don't necessarily blame anyone for thinking non-superimposable is the right term, since even modern textbooks still get this wrong. I showed an expert from a textbook above about IUPAC nomenclature, and do you know what what word it uses when defining enantiomers? Sadly, non-superimposable. And this textbook is from around 2020. Many textbooks, in fact, seem to get this incorrect, as we'll see. When a compound is chiral, it will have one non-superimposable mirror image, called its enantiomer, from the Greek word meaning opposite. Oh, that would be why, more than likely, that this mistake keeps getting made. Like when you're looking at the etymology of the word itself, it leads you to think that this would be the right word.
No, the opposite is the root here for the Greek meaning opposite is anti. Has nothing to do with the whole non-superimposable thing. The Greek, where it says from the Greek word meaning opposite, the root of enantiomer is anti.
Except for your face has OCD.
Pointing to.
The compound and its mirror image are said to be a pair of enantiomers. The word enantiomer is used in speech in the same way that the word twin is used in speech. When two children are a pair of twins, one is said to be the twin of the other. Similarly, when the compounds are a pair of enantiomers, each compound is said to be the enantiomer of the other. A chiral
I would
compound.
have used the word reflection instead of twin, but that's just me.
How dare you? Ooh, Zephyr, you couldn't get it. A chiral compound will have exactly one enantiomer, never more and never less. Let's practice drawing the enantiomer of chiral compounds. I'm not going to do
that. Nor would I expect you to.
The first major edit. Even though I was primarily concerned with changing the word superimposed to superposed in the opening sentence, I did end up changing the word can to cannot. Thankfully, Wikipedia seems to keep a nice record of all modifications, as we can see here.
And really, it was the can to cannot that probably would have been more crucial, because saying they can be superimposed or superposed, whichever way you go with that, is the more wrong thing here. But I get why he wanted to change superimposed to superposed. Cannot be superposed on the mirror image.
That is awesome. So, while changing it to superpose is more accurate, my change of can to cannot isn't, which I actually address in the future edit, being so focused on getting the word.
Yes, it is.
Well,
sorry, go ahead. I'm just like, okay, I need to talk to Corey about that, because based on everything he's shown so far, the definition of enantiomers is that they are non-superposable. So it's not just the can be superimposed. it is cannot be superposed.
Yeah,
I need to
it
talk to him
does.
about that because that's
Well, he said my change of can to cannot isn't, which he actually addresses in the future at it, which was a big old
okay.
oopsie. Being so focused on getting the word superimposed out of there, I hadn't realized just how confusingly worded the opening sentence was. Since the sentence ends with of the other, it is basically saying the mirror image of the mirror image, which is just the original thing itself. Regardless, Wikipedia even gives you space to explain your edit, which I took full advantage of, as I wanted to justify my actions as much as possible. The opening sentence. I changed the words can to cannot and superimpose to superposed. Superimpose just means laying one thing on top of the other. You can do this with anything. Superpose means laying one thing on top of the other and have all parts coincide. You cannot do this with enantiomers. Naturally, one might ask if anyone else before me tried to change the word, superimpose to superpose, or some variation of it. The answer is no. Since I had checked every single edit before mine, fortunately, the entry on enantiomer seems to have been created in January of 2003, and there were only a few dozen edits before mine. I was the first one to introduce and use the term superpose in the entry. You can find the very first version of the page here. And as you can see, it includes the word superimposed in the opening sentence. I will take his word for it. Which part is gross? What law degrees? Some scientists do get law degrees to practice law for cores that are doing a lot of science work, like biomedical companies. Yeah, you got to appreciate those horrible
It's
people.
yeah. Unfortunately, chemists getting law degrees is extremely helpful when you're defending patents for a big pharma company.
Yeah, we don't like that. Um,
Yeah, I'm not a fan.
but more to the oh God, are you seeing this? This is
Oh,
amazing.
gotta love that. Gotta love that contribution record.
Oh, this contribution record is glorious. This is like pretty much a brawl in a Waffle House.
I mean, this is just all the changes that happened before his.
Wow. And it's probably going to get a lot uglier.
Yeah, notice this only covers 2 years between 2003, when the article was created, and 2005, when this whole story began.
Yes, this is exactly what a Wikipedia warrior is, dude. This is amazing. Understandably, a fellow Wikipedia user took issue with my change of the word can to cannot and reverted it, leaving my modification of superposed intact. Eventually, I realized just how confusing the sentence was worded and modified it for clarity and accuracy. Revision as of 2337, July 15, 2005. In chemistry, two stereoisomers are said to be enantiomers if they are the mirror image of each other. Much as the left and right hand are different, but one is the mirror image of the other. Enantiomers are stereoisomers whose molecules are non-superposable, mirror images of each other. And then we got the edit. There was another problem with the opening sentence. The condition was insufficient. Yes, I understand. Yes, I understand. That when the opening sentence said stereoisomers, it meant something that didn't have mirror symmetry, but the average Joe doesn't know that. So the letter T can be superposed on its mirror image. It 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 is an IT in an enantiomer. No, enantiomers must be different and mirror images of each other. Other than that, I tried to reword so that the use of the use of can was obviously correct. By moving it down to the bottom of the opening paragraph, there's been time for some explanation. Rick Boatwright, this man. Still confusing. Change it to make it a little less confusing. The way it was worded before, it was basically saying the enantiomer can be superposed on the mirror image of its mirror image, which is confusing. The more accurate and clear opening, along with the explanation of my changes in green. Since I was convinced the new opening was clear and accurate, I thought for sure no one would dispute my edit. At the very least, I was certain no one would change non-superposable to non-superimposable, since that would just be plain incorrect. Oh, but he was wrong. Someone needs to modify it in there regardless. Yes. I felt I had made significant contribution to the entry and perhaps in arrogance, Wikipedia as a whole, so I moved on and forgot about it. He said it and forget it. Time. It's
Which,
two.
which to be fair, is the healthy way to interact with Wikipedia. Find a mistake, fix it, move on. If someone comes and fucks it up later, then, fine, just, go back, fix it again. Having a punctuated battle on Wikipedia is the healthy way to do it. Doing this shit, you can question the health.
Ooh. So, second attempt. Time. It is 2007. We're almost exactly 2 years has gone by, and for whatever reason, it dawned on me to check if my edit was still there. I was shocked to see that it was changed back to non-superimposable. Oh no. I was quite indignant and said, and without hesitation, changed it back to non-superposable. At that point, I didn't even bother providing an explanation for my change since I just knew I was correct. There was no debate to be had. It was an open and shut case, as they say. And here is the revision. The third and final attempt. Just like the previous time, I had made the correction. I moved on and briefly forgot about it. Another year went by. Time. It is June of 2008. And it crossed my mind again. Did he do it in June before? No, he didn't say what month it was, but it was June. So every June, it just clicks in his head. Hey, let me check that entry real quick. It's crossed my mind again to check if anyone had the audacity to change it back to the incorrect term. I was astounded to see that it had indeed been changed back to non-superimposable. And yet again, I immediately changed it to non-superposable. Actually, change it back to sorry. Oh, killing me. Smackbot changed his revision, fixed the revision. My revision, right? Changing it back to the correct term for the third time. This time, instead of forgetting about it for years, I checked it within a few days if anyone had changed it back to non-superimposable. Sure enough, it was changed back and was actually changed back within minutes of my revision. Oh, homie was watching D-Max, an entirely different person, decided to throw their hat into the ring.
I wanted to point out you are actually correct. I looked at the edit history and it was June 2007, then June 2008. So almost exactly a year later.
He is not messing around. He's got an internal clock of, hey, let me check that thing. As you can see, a fellow Wikipedia user by the name of DMax, more on them later. Oh no, do we have an arch nemesis? Changed it back and even provided a very brief explanation, or at least directed me to a place to see the explanation by saying RV to wording hashed out on talk chirality chemistry. Thankfully, Wikipedia provides a discussion page where fellow editors can debate and or provide their thoughts on how a page should be edited. I seriously considered going to plead my case and show everyone just how wrong they were, but in the end decided not to. I figured if a number of people can't get basic facts correct, nor do their due diligence, why waste my energy? Oh, this is Twitch poll energy all the way through. I knew I was correct, and that was good enough for me.
I mean, in this case, again, that is the healthier way to deal with this, but something tells me it does not end here.
Nah, it ain't going in there. Thank God he decided not to. Oh, the brawl. The enantiomer page today. As I mentioned in my last post, found here, after being fired after 5 days from my last job at a biotech startup, I'm largely self-employed these days. I began doing some private tutoring, which includes tutoring students for organic chemistry. Before taking this up, it had been a long time since I had covered some of the material and concepts of the course. Even though it's been almost 2 decades since I took organic chemistry, I definitely was not starting from scratch since, after all, I'm a biochemist slash molecular biologist, and so there's a fair degree of overlap, but I was certainly rusty on some things. Upon getting a student requesting me to tutor them for organic chemistry, I began reviewing slash refreshing the material, which included the material on enantiomers. Uh-oh. This sparked my memory and curiosity about that whole Wikipedia fiasco years ago, and I decided to check the page on enantiomers. And what did it say? In chemistry, an enantiomer, also known as an optical isomer, antipode, or optical antipode, is one of a pair of molecular entities which are mirror images of each other and non-superposable.
Hey, came out right.
It finally says the correct term. As of this writing in 2025, it says non-superposable, albeit with a hyphen added, which is totally fine by me. See, it's completely healthy. Even though it's just one word and a small detail, it's bothering him. A detail that matters. I actually felt a range of emotions upon seeing this after my attempts over the years. I felt vindicated, deeply satisfied, and frustrated all at the same time. Vindicated that the powers that be finally realized I was correct. Deeply satisfied for making what I felt was a meaningful contribution to a Wikipedia page, even though it took years, but also frustrated that it took so long. Which is what change takes. Change takes time. I decided to see when this change was finally made and stuck to. Thankfully, it was actually only a few months after my final edit attempt. Change the Wikipedia. No, no. I do not want the wrath of Canada on my tail. I am good. I'm Corey trying to figure out where to find me.
And just be aware, I will be keeping an eye on this page for the next little while. If any of you fucks goes and change that, I will know your IP address.
I had no idea this was going to be so intriguing. I will get 1,000 bits and change it. I do like money. Exactly, Moon. That's like, you can tell when people have gone through something. The patience shines through. When you're sitting there listening to Gibbs go off for like 25 minutes and then finally just step in with a, well, actually. Nope, nope, nope. Nobody use my user. Nope. I need to make a username on Wikipedia before somebody puts my name on there and changes that beast. I do not need this smoke. In November of that same year, another Wikipedia user by the name of Bueller007 tried to make the exact same change and provided a virtually identical explanation to my original one. So from DMAX 2008 of November, and another person 6 days later fixed it again. Funnily and frustratingly enough, this spawned another Wikipedia edit war, which was very short-lived since it actually became a universal ruling to no longer change this word. In March of 2009, an anonymous user edited back to non-superimposable. Anonymous user, what a coward. Don't be like that, Zephyr. I'll know it was you. Within minutes of the anonymous user making this edit, DMAX, who previously changed my edit back to non-superimposable just months prior, edited back to non-superposable, but this time included a special note for anyone trying to change this word. Oh, DMAX was the champion of this. Crazy. I thought he'd be, hey, what's going on, Teremy? Yeah, I thought he was going to end up being the arch nemesis of this, but actually, no. He was the hero we needed. That's right. It's basically no longer permissible for anyone to change this word since they presumably finally realized years and years later that non-superposable is correct. That I was correct. You can view this edit page here. I have no idea who DMAX is, but they have been heavily involved in editing this Wikipedia page for a very long time. They promptly reverted one of my edit attempts back in 2008, and from what I can tell of the edit history of the page, their last edit was in April of this year. DMAX for the finality. Upon seeing how heavily involved they were in editing this page, how they were finally convinced of non-superposable being the correct term, and how they made a final ruling on this word, I was curious if I could find any information about them. Fortunately, Wikipedia has user profiles, and DMAX appears to maintain theirs with a small description of themselves. DMAX, what can I say? I'm a nerd in multiple areas of science, liking both the tinkering and the teaching others to tinker aspects. I have eclectic interests in other areas as well. As an academic, I can be a bit pedantic when it comes to presentation style and usefulness slash accessibility of factual content. G zombies. Brown University, University of Pennsylvania, teaches a chemist. A self-described nerd and apparently an academic that, in some capacity, attended the Ivy League institutions of both Brown University and University of Pennsylvania. What's more, they seem to be an actual chemist who teaches or has taught at the university level. I was shocked, to say the least, when I read their description. On the bright side, they did eventually see that non-superposable was correct, and to be fair, they might not have been a full-fledged academic when they reverted my edit back in 2008. Mind you, when I made my initial edit almost exactly 2 decades ago, I was essentially a first-year university student fresh off my first organic chemistry course. Why does? Welcome to the chat. We're reading some of your fellow Canadians' work. Of course, he had to do some recon. You got to see who you're up against. Does this say anything about misinformation and disinformation? I never thought making a small Wikipedia edit would lead me to writing about it almost exactly 20 years later, but here we are. A lot has changed in that time, including the internet and our information landscape. To say the least, my only intention when I first made my edit was to provide accurate information. I wasn't trying to gain recognition or clout, as there was no social media back then. No Instagram, no TikTok, no Twitch, no Twitter slash X. We'll just leave X out of it. At most, YouTube and Facebook were in their early days. My only incentive in making the edit was an attempt to live up to my own values, along with hopefully making a meaningful contribution to something I believed in. I have no doubt all the individuals, including DMAX, who reverted my edit back to the incorrect term, weren't acting with bad intentions. I'm confident, although they all thought they were genuinely correct. On the Wikipedia talk page associated with the entry, you can see what some users, including DMAX, were saying when debating what the appropriate term was. Oh, this is going to get thick. The plain English definitions dictionary suggests that superposition might be more appropriate than superimposition, since we're usually talking about things, not images. But former seems to talk more about arbitrary stacking, whereas the latter seems more about having some certain alignment, which is what we care about. And we're looking for a more technical term than a linguistic solution, I think. I've only ever heard superposition in this context as part of the slow motion revert war here, which is DMAX back in 2007. Hi DMAX, thanks for your comment. I'm assuming for now that you would be in favor of the term superimposition. So the I am in imposition stems from image. I did not realize that until now. I will wait to see if there are more comments, otherwise I'll switch back to the article. Yes, I'm in favor of superimposition, both in my mind and because we can support it with McCurry, Wade, Streitweiser, Heathcock, and Kosover, and Morrison and Boyd. I'd never actually noticed the I am word root similarly. As you can see, in November 2007, yeah, no, C can't hide from you, and you're also in a server, so he definitely can't hide from you. DMAX was in favor of using superimposed due to the fact that presumably a number of textbooks use the term. As highlighted earlier, even textbooks get this wrong. And that's what I kind of assumed was the whole deal in the first place. Like somebody locked that into their head from a textbook and it was what it was. Enjoy your meal, my dude. Since on the very same talk page, a user brought up the fact that superimposed is the more popular term according to the Google Books popularity contest. Just for the heck of it, here's the Google Books popularity contest result. An enantiomer superposed, enantiomer superimposed. In my opinion, both are equally valid. I don't know if it's due to regional differences or if it is random though. User pointing out that the superimposed is more popular according to Google Books popularity contest. DMAX, being an actual chemist, didn't think to question whether the textbooks are correct, or even realize that the textbooks are relying another source. I think he meant relaying. IUPAC, which is supposed to be the source. Strictly speaking, I'm not a chemist, and I thought to do this. Could IUPAC be wrong? Sure. But then we'd have to collectively come up with a new system of chemical nomenclature and establish a new glossary of terms that chemists worldwide would agree on. Fast forward to today, and as alluded to, our information landscape is dramatically different. We are now in the age of multiple social media platforms and what looks to me like poor incentives. You can gain a following and all the associated financial rewards just for simply saying things. What's more, it seems like you can even be further rewarded by providing incorrect information or just by outright lying. There is no more apparent. This is no more apparent to me than in the health, wellness, fitness industry, but it's clearly not isolated to those areas. I just happen to follow them closely. This issue now seems to permeate every single domain. Who's outright lying and who is simply just unintentionally misinformed. And I think this is actually really important and gonna come up in what I want to talk about next. Damn, I didn't know this would be this good.
Yep.
It's certainly not always clear to me. If there's one thing that my Wikipedia war calls it a war, brings to the forefront is that fact checking is hard, and we have a fact checking problem, which I plan to also write about. Nobody was trying to intentionally misinform anyone when my edits were reverted, and yet they were misinforming. Yes, the truth won out, but it literally took years. Years to get people to see that my change of one word was correct. What do we do when there's an incentive to be dishonest, or no incentive to be honest? From what I can tell, there doesn't seem to be any penalty for being dishonest, or just plain factually incorrect, and no real reward for being honest. Not that people should only do things for external rewards, but more often than not, I think it helps. As of now, the reward structure on social media just seems to incentivize people to share news that gets clicks and views regardless of what is true or is or not. Like the title and findings of the study demonstrates, sharing of misinformation is simply habitual because that's what's rewarded. As mentioned, I made my edit largely out of a desire to provide accurate information, and my only reward is the opportunity to write this article and whatever traction, if any, it may get. The evidence I've seen seems to indicate that false news spreads more rapidly online than true news, and actual people, as opposed to bots, are more likely to spread false news. When informational videos about ADHD contained on TikTok were assessed for accuracy, roughly half were classified as misleading. Not surprisingly, more informational videos made by actual healthcare providers were, on average, more accurate than those made by non-healthcare providers. However, the videos made by non-healthcare providers appeared to be more popular, of course. Hey, Nair, good to see you. Albeit not to a significant degree. This was likely due to the fact that videos made by non-healthcare providers contain more personal experience as opposed to straight factual information. Overall, our biases just seem to favor personal experience and anecdotes over factual informational content, because the plural of anecdote is not data. I've written this over the course of months, and during that time, I've seen Robert F. Kennedy, we get to the man himself, get sworn in as United States Secretary of Health and Human Services, watch Trump deliver the first address to Congress, and watch Elon Musk and his Department of Government Efficiency make claims about all the fraud and wasteful spending they're finding. Even though I'm Canadian, what happens in the United States tends to affect Canada. Not to mention the rhetoric about us becoming the 51st state and the ongoing trade war. Whether RFK is lying or genuinely believes the claims he makes regarding vaccines, I don't know. But I can confidently say he is grossly misinformed about vaccines and most health-related matters. Are all his ideas bad, and is he wrong about absolutely everything? No, but he's very down on my list of people I'd want to lead the health and human services. As for Trump and Musk, they both seem to be a fire hose of baseless or factually incorrect information. When Trump claims that the United States has provided $350 billion in aid to Ukraine, I'm certainly no politician, but I have no idea what is even the point of lying about that figure, since the actual amount, roughly $180 billion, including military aid, as the highest estimate, is still a lot. You can check here, and here for accurate assessments. Appreciate that. And I'm going to post this in the chat, and I'll put it in my Discord as well, because this is just great information. My best guess is that he simply wants to claim the United States has spent more than Europe, which is not true. Either way, why is the President of the United States blatantly lying about something fairly easily verifiable? And if he's not lying, why is he so misinformed? As for Elon Musk, it's actually difficult to keep up with all the false information he spreads. As of writing this, he's ranked number 43 on the Community Notes leaderboard. Granted, Community Notes doesn't get absolutely everything correct. Very true. Despite the misinformation and or lies he spreads that have real-world political ramifications, one of his most shameful acts is his fraudulent gaming record. This matters. He has consistently bragged about being a high-level gamer in Path of Exile 2 and Diablo 4. If there's one domain where you don't want to misrepresent your accomplishments, it's gaming. The gaming community will expend the necessary effort to verify your claims, especially if those claims are as grandiose as Elon's were. No surprise, Elon didn't exactly do all the work, to say the least. And there are some images here. Actually, let's... Oh, yeah. Well, I'll have to... Oh, it ruined the whole thing. I should not have clicked. There are 42 people who lie more than Elon. Yeah, dare say, at least on paper. The most puzzling and frustrating part is no matter how many times they are demonstrably incorrect about something, none of them take a credibility hit. This is probably one of the most irritating parts about it. Like, people don't take into account how often someone lies versus lying or being wrong once or twice. Just because he was playing while also talking at a Trump rally doesn't mean he wasn't playing. I mean, that remains to be seen, Nair.
Lie to me once, shame on you. Lie to me 500 times. Someone's probably going to believe you.
Yeah, I was in another server. They were having a conversation about, Biden's health versus, why vote for Trump. Well, if they lied to us about this with Biden, I'm like, the other dude lied to you thousands of times. I don't think this is a barometer we should be judging by.
Well, no, you do think it's a barometer we should be judging by, but judging consistently.
That would be nice. So the credibility, like when your credibility's in the toilet, talking about lies is never going to be a mark in their favor. So from the limited data I've seen, right-leaning individuals, particularly those associated with radical right populism, are, on average, more likely to spread misinformation and are more susceptible to it as well. Particularly concerning is the fact that right-leaning individuals seem to morally approve of politicians spreading misinformation. Although, as the study itself says, overall levels of approval are low. Ooh, this is getting to exactly what I want to talk about today. This is fantastic. To be clear, I'm not saying that only right-leaning individuals spread misinformation. Of course not. Or are the only ones susceptible to it. Just that on average, right-leaning individuals contribute slightly more to the problem. If anything, when I see a left-leaning individual engage in misinformation or disinformation, I view it almost as a betrayal, since I'm politically very left-leaning. If you think you have the truth on your side, then you engage with the truth and don't propagandize. I can respect that. What do we do in an information and media environment that's just flooded with bad information? And what do we do when a bad idea or bad piece of information gets entrenched? It's always easier to break something than to fix it. Ain't that the truth? Not only is my Wikipedia war a clear example of how difficult it is to overturn a bad piece of entrenched information, but as a further example, do you know what ChatGPT outputs when you ask it what enantiomers are? Oh, ChatGPT, don't do this. Don't do this. In organic chemistry, what are enantiomers? I'm feeling like this is the square peg. Where does it go? It goes in the square hole. And this is a triangle peg. Where does it go? That's right, in the square hole. Yep, in organic chemistry, enantiomers are a pair of molecules that are non-superimposable mirror images of each other. They share the same molecular formula and connectivity of atoms, but differ in the spatial arrangement of these atoms. In the square hole. I love it. Key characteristics of enantiomers. Chirality. Enantiomers have at least one chiral center, also called stereogenic center. Typically an atom, often carbon, attached to four different substituents. The two molecules are mirror images of each other, like a pair of hands. Non-superimposable. One enantiomer cannot be placed exactly on top of the... Oh, it's wrong. Why is it wrong? Sadly, as you can see, and I can never unsee it now, it uses non-superimposable in its description of enantiomers. No surprise, since garbage in, garbage out. ChatGPT would have been trained on what the textbooks and the internet say about enantiomers, and it seems like most of them get it wrong. So ChatGPT will also be wrong. If it took years to get people to finally see that I was correct, and yet the incorrect term still seems to be entrenched, how do we get people to see that vaccines have saved millions of lives, that climate change is real, or that evolution is real? Compounding all of this, what do we do when AI may have the ability to further exacerbate this misinformation and disinformation problem? As of now, I have no idea how AI will shape our information landscape. I can see it making it worse through accelerating the generation of bad information, or I can see it as the solution through accelerating the ability to fact check. What I know currently is that, as highlighted above, AI is not doing a good job of correcting the definition of enantiomers, so I'm a tad skeptical. On the optimistic side, just as science is characterizing our misinformation and disinformation problem, it might also be figuring out solutions. Surprisingly, based off of this meta-analysis, on average, the majority of people can discern true from false news. Moreover, since the problem seems to stem from excessive skepticism of true news, as opposed to acceptance of false news, the appropriate strategy may be to focus on getting people to accept true news rather than getting them to reject false news. Interesting. Have a Wikipedia edit type function for AI bots, so when they access the info, it follows the tag which corrects the article. For this, that could be interesting. If they would allow it. And even though I have my issues with fact checking, it does appear to work. Not only does it work, but thankfully crowdsourced fact checking appears to be as effective as professional fact checking. Thus, there may be some hope that our solutions can keep up with the fire hose of misinformation and disinformation that is our current landscape. Whether these solutions will begin to turn the tide, I don't know. I guess we'll find out. I only hope the solutions are effective enough and come in time before something truly terrible happens, and it happens on a global scale. I am an eternal optimist, and so I'm reminded of the following quote from F. Scott Fitzgerald. Corey, your optimism is appreciated. Hey, he's in the chat. I love it. Good to see you, Corey. This is a beautiful piece of work. The test of a first-rate intelligence is the ability to hold two opposing ideas in mind at the same time and still retain the ability to function. One should, for example, be able to see that things are hopeless, yet be determined to make them otherwise. What my Wikipedia experience largely taught me is that someone will only expend the effort to seek the truth if they value the truth. The problem is, I don't know how to get people to value the truth, especially when it seems like you're incentivized on social media to not value it. I'm not even claiming that I value it, and I'm not even claiming that I value it, and I recognize that it's not always easy to determine the truth. The only thing I will claim is that I will always make a considerable effort to provide accurate information, and I hope my track record speaks for itself. I'm not sure how to solve our current misinformation and disinformation problem, but I feel it's important to do my small part in it. Thanks, Philip D. Bunn, for the feedback on this piece. Thanks for reading this Corey Substack, and I will post it later on. What do you think, Ancom?
I mean, I thought it was a fantastic piece. And since Corey's in the chat, near the top of it, when you do your first edit, you go
from... Oh, you can't help yourself.
I can't. You go from can be superimposed to cannot be superposed, and then you say that cannot is wrong. But since the correct term for an enantiomer, as compared to its own reflection, is non-superposable, that would seem to be the same as cannot be superposed. Am I wrong? I am I was confused by that little bit, and I need the expert and author's input.
What we're going to see.
Yep.
So
Now we wait.
this is where I get into the Elon issue and Corey's analysis of the issue of misinformation and disinformation. I feel hit a fever pitch. Okay, no, he's not wrong exactly. My first edit was technically not 100% accurate. That's why I changed it again. What say ye?
I'm confused by the response. The you change it again, yeah, but at the beginning of your article, when you said you changed it the first time, you changed both the words can and superimpose to cannot and superpose. That set those paired together seem to be correct, since the term non-superposable would imply cannot be superposed. But you say that correction wasn't entirely correct either, and that's the part I'm not understanding. It seems correct. My change of the word was correct, though. Well, you changed two words, and I feel like changing both words was the correct way to go. And this is where I'm confused. And yes, I'm having an incredibly niche science science Q&A with someone in chat while on Leafy's stream, because this is what I do.
So, let me see if I can add this. Okay. Hey, Canada is catching W's right now. I'm not even mad. So, how Elon turned X into a pro-Trump echo chamber. In 2 years since, Musk has transformed the platform, once regarded as a global town square, into an echo chamber, amplifying right-leaning causes, and in particular former Donald Trump's electoral campaign, according to academic research. Public opinion surveys, data on X, most influential users, engagement and metrics reports about X working directly with the Trump campaign. In recent months, Musk has become one of Trump's biggest donors and most energetic supporters, turning X into an unofficial House organ for his campaign. As the election approaches, X's AI-powered... Let me see if I can fix this. Why is this tripping? Okay, that's bad. Nope, it's doing it still. Either way. As the election approaches...
Yeah, sometimes pages like this don't react to the zoom very well. Sometimes they'll have like a reading mode that the browser can get, and it just kind of takes out all the pictures and ads and videos and shit and just
That's probably
brings
better,
it down to like their
I'm gonna
bare bones
zoom
article.
in and see if it makes it a little better. So
Yeah, it's not bad.
on Tuesday, Musk promoted an X community, a large group of users called the Election Integrity Committee, which was created by his super PAC, America PAC. The community, which is automatically added to a list of feeds users see when they log into X when they join it. Nope, it's still doing it. Damn it. Is full of users spreading conspiracy theories, misinformation, rumors, and suspicions about voter fraud. Studies and investigations have found there is no evidence of widespread voter fraud in the U.S. All told, Musk's structural changes to the app have tilted in favor of far-right users and posts. We do have a lot of evidence to suspect that X is turning more and more far-right by the day. Giulio Corsi, a researcher at the University of Cambridge, who studies X's recommendation algorithm. So let me go back to this, because that's not flickering. Nope, it's flickering now. I just can't win. Welcome back. So, to the second part of this, why Elon is not the hero we need, but the hero we deserve. Or why Elon is the hero we need, but not the hero we deserve. As he was the same person that formed his algorithm around the media that was going to get people to view these subjects in the way the administration wanted them to and was going to get voters on the side of the administration. Now that he is on the out with the administration, especially since the Epstein leaks and everything have gone on, I think he's furious with what's going on. He can now utilize the algorithm to fight this particular issue. And I'm not going to say he would be using good information to do so. He would be using the same misinformation to combat it. Because in reality, the whole Epstein thing is a conspiracy in itself. I don't think the conclusions a lot of people are coming to are true conclusions. But at the same time, I'd rather not tell them that. I'd rather not use critical thinking to convince people that believed in these conspiracies that voted, yeah, we are actually still talking about Epstein. I mean, the guy, I don't see why. Uh, the idea that people that will vote conservative wanted that list or wanted the information of who Epstein's clients are enraged and feel betrayed by not getting this information. Oh, I saw the clip. Trust me, I saw the clip. I think I posted it a couple places, but all the same, Elon can exacerbate the rage that these people are feeling in not getting the information that was promised to them. Now, I'm not even going to say that either side should have been able to produce this information because the information may not even exist. I'm not going to say it doesn't, not going to say it does. But they were the ones saying that this information does exist, they have it, and they will be producing it. And then they didn't. So they were talking that good and then had nothing to show for it. I mean, why do you think Elon won't? Elon is pissed about the bill. Elon was basically used and thrown out. And Elon definitely felt some kind of way about the Epstein stuff. He definitely doesn't like child abusers. So I don't know. There's a very good chance that Elon could become the Punisher with a chainsaw that will use the algorithm to the benefit of the country and be the thing that destroys MAGA. What do you think, Ancom?
I mean, I will be very interested. I don't think his party is likely to get off the ground. The idea of a third party gaining any sort of momentum in the U.S. hasn't really been possible since the Civil War. Like, that was the last time either of the major parties got swapped out for a different party. I don't see this going anywhere.
I'm not even talking a third party.
Oh, okay.
I'm saying the same misinformation and disinformation that was used to elevate the current administration, the voter fraud
Mhm.
laws, all that stuff that was totally untrue or at least unproven, can be used in the other direction to say that this administration is hiding the Epstein information, they've lied to us, they've betrayed us.
Maybe, but Trump's impact on the voter base in terms of like his rhetoric and what he says, I think is going to be a lot more influential than anything Elon has to say. Like, Elon brought his group of tech bros into the MAGA fold, and he might end up taking them with him. When he, in his opposition to Trump. But ultimately, I think it's going to be the main section of the base that are just, they're a cult of personality, and that personality is Donald J. Trump. Now, when Trump dies and is no longer around to be that personality, that'll be interesting, because I don't know where the fuck they're going to go after that. There's no one left or right that has the same kind of pull that Trump, for whatever goddamn reason, does.
I'm not finding what I'm looking for, but I remember at the very beginning of the feud between Trump and Elon,
Mm-hmm.
there was some information saying that he was boosting anti-Trump messages on Twitter. And then eventually he deleted his posts. And as of recent, since the big beautiful bill passed, there's been more say that he's boosted the algorithm and started using AI posts against Trump. I'm looking for this, I'm not finding it. But I
Yeah, but
think
like at the same time, I feel like Trump's followers are going to be skeptical of anything that's anti-Trump, wherever it comes from. They're already skeptical of any media that even slightly criticizes Trump. Like, they will go after fucking OAN if they say anything that even slightly goes against the Trump narrative. Like when OAN reported that, the Dominion lawsuit was, found to be completely baseless. So I don't really see them being pulled by Elon. I don't know. I could entirely be wrong, but that's my take on it.
it's entirely possible. You still can't hear me, Ancom? I don't know why you can't hear me. Uh,
Oh, he says he can hear. Your voice is coming through fine on stream, as is mine. Although mine's really loud on stream.
Also true. So here's one instance, and I'm sure there's more, but I haven't done a great deal of looking for this info. I'm sure if I look deeper, but I think a lot of these things were lost to the ether for the more interesting posts. Late night, late Sunday night, billionaire Elon Musk was seemingly kept awake by the specter of No Kings mass protests across the United States. Millions of people took to the streets to counter a controversial and apparently boring as hell military parade sponsored by UFC and put on by Donald Trump. Musk took to his own social media platform, posting a screenshot of the iconic horror game BioShock, which showed a banner that reads, "No gods or kings, only man." Anyone else think of this yesterday? And then, of course, it shows the post. The red banner in the screenshot is encountered by players upon entering the remains of Rapture. The parallels of modern day United States aren't exactly hard to grasp. So this can be seen as basically a swipe at the current administration. And I don't think he's going to play it extremely hard, but I think subtly his social media network can chip away at some of the people that feel betrayed by this. And I think so far of anything that's happened, this Epstein bombshell has been the one I've seen the most conservatives pissed off about.
I mean, yeah, given the whole Epstein thing was like they used it to target Hillary and the Clintons and lots of Democrats because they blaming Hillary for Epstein's death. The whole he didn't kill himself; it's because Hillary did. But like the fact that no one thought that Trump was also connected to him,
Well, they
or like
ignored that part.
his base, yeah. And like now Elon's coming out and saying, I like if they were ignoring it before, because it's not as if there weren't plenty of people talking about the fact that Trump was also heavily connected to Epstein and to, I forget her name, the woman that was like his handler. Like he was
Ghislaine?
very clearly heavily, Yeah, Maxwell Ghislaine. Um, or Mac, I don't remember. Anyways,
Ghislaine Maxwell. Yeah.
um, Thank you. I knew I had that wrong. Um, yeah, they didn't pay attention to it then. Like I said, I don't think they're going to go with Musk just because he's now saying things that Democrats have been saying for the whole time. If anything, I feel like that's probably going to disincentivize Trump's base from following Musk because they're just going to see it as, oh well, he got thrown out by Trump. Now, now he's switched back to being a Democrat, and they're going to distrust him for the entire like they're going to retroactively distrust everything he said, even when he was with Trump, if it was in any way the tiniest bit uh you know separate or different from what Trump has been saying.
Well,
Yeah, that's what I've been saying. Why does is Musk has his own group of followers, but that group was relatively much smaller than the giant swath of conservatives that backed Trump. So Musk, yeah, he brought in his supporters and very likely took them away when that split happened. And I don't think he was seen as an ally for long enough for Trump's base to have glommed on to Elon instead and run away with him.
no, I don't think they're going to follow Elon. Like, that's not what I'm implying in the slightest. I don't think he can form another party.
Okay.
I don't think people are going to follow him. Same thing when Elon did the thing he did with the misinformation and the disinformation, it got people to follow Trump and to move into a more conservative or Republican mindset, feeling like their ideas were being validated. So I think he can do the same to validate the idea that they were betrayed in regards to these particular issues and put the disinformation, misinformation to use against MAGA.
I mean, if he can succeed with it and split them up that way, I'm not gonna say that's a bad thing from our perspective anyway.
Yeah, because I'm looking at him like the Punisher. Like, that's why I said I would make an AI image of Elon dressed as the Punisher with a chainsaw. The Punisher doesn't end crime, but he definitely moves things in a different direction. People are a little bit more against doing certain crimes at certain times when this is going on. So when it comes down to this, I think he can start moving the disinformation. At least if it's going to exist, it would be for good, or at least not for MAGA.
Yeah, like I would say it'll be at least not for MAGA. I don't know if it'll necessarily be good. You know, it it might end up just being the Whigs replaced by the Republicans. So now the Republicans are replaced by whatever the fuck Elon's group is going to be called.
I mean, I still don't think he can form a viable third party. If anything, like what
No, I
Montani
don't.
is doing would have a better chance of doing so. Yeah, once Trump is
Yes, I
gone,
agree.
MAGA is virtually no more. So I think any credibility hits on this level are going to be dangerous for any Republican that's coming in afterwards because it's the same people. So they're going to have this albatross weighing around their neck either way. And people are going to remind them. And I want them to be reminded because if they don't talk about this, if they stop talking about the Epstein thing, which is what Trump wanted them to do, why are we still talking about this? They're going to forget in a couple weeks and it'll be whatever else they decide to come up with. The, oh, Democrats are talking mean about what's going on in Texas, whatever. They'll change the story to
Yeah.
whatever they can change it to.
One of the biggest strengths of the whole Trump media machine is their ability to control the narrative. And I don't think that Elon is going to present a viable challenge to that narrative control, at least not until Trump is out of the picture for good. Maybe after that he might be able to, but I don't think he knows enough about narrative control and media manipulation. He barreled headlong into buying a social media company and then just repeatedly and flagrantly fucked it up multiple times over. This man knows nothing about how to actually control a narrative. He might learn, but as of right now, I don't see it.
What's up, Zephyr?
But
Oh my god, he can
Is he?
talk.
I talked like the entirety of last week.
I just wanted to make sure it stuck.
No,
Kind of
I'm
like
sure
that
you
whole
did
thing we
something
read about
that
the
one day.
Substack. 1 week it's there, next week it's not. So I wondered
Wait,
if
the
you were still at
Substack?
war. I was wondering if you were still at war with your microphone, like Corey was at war with Wikipedia.
I'm always at war with everything and everyone.
So yeah,
You never trust anyone.
so I was like, I'll do a short stream today, get to this whole idea of the Epstein stuff because I didn't want to go too deep into it. And I was watching a few people kind of debunking the information, like the whole idea with the missing minute from the video being like a huge red flag. The fact that, I don't even want to debunk it. Like, I'd rather it stay out there and keep pissing certain people off. I want them to believe the disinformation on this. I want it to be a conspiracy where they're unhappy with the people that promised them that they would get this information when they have nothing to show for it. Am I wrong for that?
I mean, while it is important to not let things like this slide, like huge controversies like this, which have hurt like thousands of people, I also wonder, like, what were they expecting? Like, were there so many one issue voters, and their one issue was the Epstein files?
Oh, I think that was a decent part of it. I don't think it was like an actual voting thing, but they expected that these are going to be the people that are going to give us what they're promising. You had Dan Bongino talking about it. You had Alex Jones talking about it. You have Pam Bondi saying she had the stuff on her desk. You had them showing like, this is what we're going to reveal. They wanted transparency. They were looking for truth against a Democrat Party that lies to them all the time. They try to Joe Biden out, which is elder abuse and all these things. It might
I
be
don't
a
know, man. I
delay on
think
your end, but I can see it pretty quickly. I did definitely
I think
choose
number
violence on
one,
this one.
I think number one, conservatives are way more gullible than you give them credit for, and I also think that MAGA won't die after Trump. I think Trump is the
Yep, I
first
see the
boss, not the
test.
final boss.
Really? What do you think is going to replace Trump?
It's not about replacing Trump. It's about the sort of cultural movement that is MAGA. It's not just a political movement. Like, they've basically now got a voice. Like, the racists, not only are they creating more racists, but the racists that already existed, they think they have a voice now, and they want to, like, quote unquote, purify America.
Mm,
I think, I think unless you're appealing to them, like any Republican that wants to run for president, like will basically say, "Oh, we have these like essentially 60 million free votes. All we have to do is say a couple things."
I don't disagree with that entirely. I think once they see what these particular policies and ideas have gotten them, that may change their mind on what they want to vote on or what they think will be the remedy for the issues that they
You'd think they would have
proposed.
learned that by now, but they clearly
No,
haven't. So
no, because they again, when push comes to shove, they can blame it on the other party. They can blame it on anything else other than where the blame lies. But once where the blame lies is clear, like in this instance, the blame is clear. And some people like Tim
again,
Pool are trying to say, oh, the information isn't there because when Biden was in office, they buried it. That's why they can't find it.
you forget how gullible MAGA is. It's not hard to win them back. Like the easiest thing you can do. If you're a conservative leader, like it's the easiest fucking thing you can do. Even if you don't get, as long as Trump doesn't, what do they call it, uh, endorse someone else. Yeah, basically you have a free reign.
Hmm. Do you agree, Ancom?
As if Trump doesn't endorse anyone or he endorses you, you got like literally you got 60 million votes just handed to you.
Maybe like I've seen a number of cases where Trump endorsing someone, they've ended up losing, and also it's not so much that I'm worried or that I'm thinking about who Trump endorses while he's president or even while he's alive. It's more about what happens when he's gone. The man's in his early or mid 80s or something like at this point. So, he's not young. He's not getting younger. Chances are he's going to die before the decade's out. I'm more concerned with what happens after that because he has built a cult of personality around himself and himself alone. And we've seen people try and step into those shoes, or at the very least, like step into that shadow and try to try to get those votes. We saw that with Ron DeSantis, and we saw how much it didn't work.
Ooh, Voidzilla at it again. I'm loving this dude right now.
This is a montage of the changing.
I'll play this in a little bit, but carry on, please.
Yeah, I was gonna say that while crap, it's kind of escaping me. Give me a moment. Maybe if I keep saying something, it'll come back to me. Um, yeah, my essential point is that obviously, like MAGA doesn't die with Trump, right? Like I agree with Fister in chat, right? It just okay. Maybe you will see a drop off. Maybe you won't have as enthusiastic a support as Trump does. But as long as you parrot some of the more sort of cultural points that Trump parrots, that Trump says, like I don't think it's hard to get a significant portion of those votes.
Yeah.
Right. The biggest problem with Ron DeSantis is that Trump is still running. Like if he just waited till Trump exited, he probably would have won that sector of the voting share.
That's fair.
Yeah, and I'd like to think that with like SNAP benefits, Medicaid, and all this getting impacted, like a lot more people will sort of wake up to what the damage that Trump is doing. But
that's
you'll
right.
still
Embrace the accelerationism.
Kind of. Like when they look back and see who took away their benefits, who took away their Social Security, who didn't deliver on things that they promised, who caused harm to their jobs, who made all their goods cost more. You can blame it on Democrats so you're blue in the face, but when the answers are right there in front of you, I hope a lot of
two
people will
days
see it.
ago, 2 days ago, a reporter asked Trump questions about rising prices, and he blamed it on Biden.
Of course he did.
Like two days ago, like this man is shameless. His supporters are shameless.
I don't disagree with you, and I expect that's going to be the playbook going forward, no
And
matter what happens.
and I think one thing we're all forgetting: there's still like 3.5 years until the next general election. A lot can change. A lot, like all these people who are crying right now. Yeah, they need one Kyle Rittenhouse, and they'll forget all of that. They will certainly be like, you know what, maybe this is the right thing. Maybe, my death is more important for this country than we need like Trump back in this country or some. Like they need one incident, and all I can see is more violence increasing in the next coming 3 years. Obviously you'll have like another Kyle Rittenhouse incident,
So
and that will just galvanize the conservatives again, and they'll forget all about this shit.
goofy as is, but follow my logic. Do you think if a Democrat like, say, Kamala Harris would have talked about the price of eggs during the election instead of conservatives, that it would have landed the same way or taken the same wings that it did when it's posted all over social media and their mouthpieces are saying it?
Probably not.
That's kind of what I'm getting at. Keeping the memes alive all the way through is going to have more impact in making sure people don't forget this and it becomes a talking point in the future. What I'm saying is we need to keep the things they don't like in the foreground as best possible. That way, when a Kyle Rittenhouse comes up, we won't forget the rest of it.
Yeah, and just to play both sides and like appear as if I'm a centrist, I'll also include like Luigi Mangione in that. I'll include that Minnesota shooter in that.
So you started cutting
like,
out because
that's like that can come from either side.
you were taking Osiris's role, and the internet didn't accept it.
No, but I'm saying like when someone from the left does it, that galvanizes the conservatives. When someone from the right does it, that also galvanizes the conservatives. So it's like you kind of lose.
Well, I mean, if anything, let's hope it makes it so that we don't have someone as MAGA in the future taking over because they see this isn't what they want. It may still be a Republican. And honestly, between all of us here, I'd rather it be a Republican because until people clearly see what the problem is and that they're not going to be the ones to be able to clean up the mess, this is what we're going to keep getting. But all the same, when Bush was in office and people didn't like what Bush did, we ended up with Obama because going with a Republican wasn't going to be an answer. And when Trump messed up during COVID and people's lives were altered, they blamed that on him. Partially, that's why we ended up with Biden, because they didn't like what Trump did in the last year or so of his administration. So there can be moments in which you find something that galvanizes people to move against something like this. It's just figuring out what it is very difficult. And I really think this Epstein thing is probably going to be one of those bricks.
I hope so.
It's the first thing I've
Yeah,
seen piss him
maybe
off.
I just like maybe I just don't maybe I just think conservatives are dumber than they are. Hope that's the case, but
I don't
I'm
think
yet to be surprised.
they're dumb. It's just they have a particular focus and they don't really think about the ramifications and the nuances of the things that are happening. Like their brains work differently. That doesn't make them dumb. That just means you have to speak to them on a different level. And
I mean, okay. No.
pretty much like
I was
what,
about to respond, but I figured that would probably start a different conversation. So
well,
continue.
pretty much like what was said in Corey's Substack piece, like this information is going to get out faster than true information. And so trying to keep putting
still on the
right-
line, by the way.
Huh?
The 1,000 bits are still on the line.
Who this man? I do like money.
Do it.
Oh, haven't we pissed off Canada enough this year?
I think it's about time Mongolia joins the war.
Oh, Desperado posted. This is a picture of two guys on a private jet going to a private island that didn't know each other. It is Trump and Epstein next to each other. Excellent. Yeah, this is crazy work. And I'm gonna say Trump's outburst as Pam Bondi was trying to explain herself was not very helpful to him. 1,000 bits, but couldn't gift White as a sub. Ooh.
Yeah, I spent all my money on buying. I spend my monthly allowance on buying bits. So come to me next month.
It's also forest fire
Before I buy
season
bits.
out here for some reason. Orange County is on fire right now, so it's their turn this time.
Orange County is orange. You mean to say?
It really is. It's a bright orange. See, I want to play some of this now and see what we get. This one's 9 minutes and there's a short stream, so let's hope it doesn't become a huge thing where we take 2 hours watching it. Yes, again, it's California, man.
Stories
Texas
on
floods.
Jeffrey
Isn't
Epstein.
Canada
We
on
burn.
fire again?
Bill Clinton.
Huh?
Nice guy. Got
Isn't
a lot
Canada
of
also on
problems
fire
coming
again?
up, in my opinion, with the
Canada's on
famous
fire.
island with Jeffrey Epstein.
That island was
And Texas is just
really
like
a cesspool. There's no question about it.
between the
Just
floods,
Prince
the
Andrew.
blizzards,
You
the
say
mass
the FBI
shootings.
has
Like,
Epstein's list. They're sitting on it.
I don't know how it's still
That
the
doesn't
most
seem
second
like
most
something you should
populous
do.
state.
You're protecting
Hey, it's
the
our
world's
boy Kash
foremost
Patel.
predator. That seems like an evil thing to do, regardless of who may be embarrassed in the release of that list. Why is the FBI protecting the greatest in human history?
Simple, because of who's on that list.
Who killed Jeffrey Epstein?
This doesn't look right. It doesn't look like a suicide.
You know, Epstein's
yeah.
an intelligence asset
Yeah,
for people in the
Coffeezilla
Middle
was.
East, right? I'm like,
But
no,
he's
I didn't
doing
know
the
that.
work
I'm
that I
like, you
need
sure
him
that?
to.
The
So I'm cool
person,
with
let's
it.
say, is like, I'm absolutely sure of that. His plane and that island, the cameras, there's a big assumption out there that these videotapes were exclusively in the custody of Epstein. That's a huge mistake. The reason they wanted this story to go away is because there's an assumption like, oh yeah, Epstein had him. No, he wasn't the only one who had him, according to this source. These assets, that's why this blackmail story makes so much sense. There are a lot of
Hey,
people
pause the video,
who are
pause the
knee-deep
video.
in the Washington.
Go ahead.
Do you think it's? I think there might be a psychological phenomena or like a social phenomena that people get more angry at their quote unquote last hope than they do at all the other people who let them down. Do you think that's true, or?
I think there's some truth to that, and that's exactly what I'm banking on right now. Bro, these are the people that were speaking the loudest about this situation and saying that there's nefarious dealings going on. Then they get put in charge of the investigation and they come up with freaking rabbit ears.
I still feel that all Trump has to do is just randomly fire Kash Patel and be like, oh, he was hiding evidence, and then get the next guy in. And then when steam blows over, then fire him again and get the next guy in. It's like, I feel like he can very easily evade all this controversy, and like the conservatives basically be like, oh, it's the FBI director who's gone rogue or some bullshit.
I mean, Why does you're not wrong. I do remember something about CoffeeZilla. I think it had to do with some crypto stuff. I don't remember exactly what it was, but doesn't matter because in this moment, he's compiling all the information that's going to piss off a certain segment of MAGA. I want to talk to Gibbs about this. That's my barometer right there. That's going to be my canary in the coal mine.
A swamp who are not telling you the truth about serious allegations out there that Epstein
That
may
was
have
my
had
policy. You
video
can play the
and
video again if you
audio
want.
of
Thank you.
people
They made
out
Alex
there
Jones
doing
cry,
things they
man.
shouldn't have been doing. And you should be asking yourself the question, how is it that all these people, the CIA director, the Obama fixer, Bill Clinton, all intersected paths with Jeffrey Epstein? Jeffrey Epstein isn't with us anymore, and nobody seems to want to talk about it.
Would you declassify the 9/11 files?
Yeah.
Ooh, this
Would you
one right
declassify JFK files?
Yeah.
Would you declassify the Epstein files?
Yeah. I guess I would. I think that less so because, you don't know. You don't want to affect people's lives if it's phony stuff in there because there's a lot of phony stuff with that whole world. But I think I would, or at least
Do you think that would restore trust? Help restore trust?
Yeah, I don't know about Epstein so much as I do the others. Certainly about the way he died. It would be interesting to find out what happened there because that was a weird situation and the cameras didn't happen to be working, et cetera, et cetera.
I want to talk to you about the Epstein case. I have worked on this for years, trying to get those records of who flew on Epstein's plane and who helped him build this international human trafficking
Yes, he did, Why does?
ring.
Absolutely, Senator. Child trafficking has no place in the United States of America, and I will do everything, if
money,
confirmed
let's
as
go.
FBI director, to make sure the American public knows the full weight of what happened in the past.
Release the list. Seriously, we need to release the Epstein list. That is an important thing.
The DOJ may be releasing the list
This
of
is so
Jeffrey
good.
Epstein's clients.
This is so
Will that
good.
really happen?
It's sitting on my desk right now to review.
A lot of people are wondering, because you said last week that you have the Epstein files on your desk, is when can we see them and what's taking so long to release them?
I do. Jesse, there are well over, this will make you sick, 200 victims, 200 So we have well over 250
This shouldn't
actually.
make me smile
so
so
we
much.
have to make sure that their identity is protected. Other than that, I think tomorrow, Jesse,
I'm not going to put that one
breaking
on
news
Zapper.
right now, you're going to see some Epstein information being released. There are tens of thousands of videos of Epstein with children or child.
What kind? Are we going to
Jeez,
see who was on
tens
the
of
flights?
thousands of videos
Are we
that-
going to see any evidence
We don't know
from
where
what
they
he
are.
recorded? Because he had all of his homes wired with recording devices.
Yeah, what you're going to see, hopefully tomorrow, is a lot of flight logs, a lot of names, a lot of information.
Exactly why it does. This is
But,
why I need this.
It's pretty sick what that man did.
Okay, well, we'll
along
look
with
for
his
that.
co-defendant.
Absolutely, and he had help. That's for
He
sure.
sure did.
And he had
But
help.
in this case, in Epstein's case,
was
it
his
is
help?
incredibly disturbing. We have flight logs, we have information, names that will come out.
Is it going to be shocking?
I don't see how it's not shocking that there
yeah,
were
for sure
so
it
many individuals that were hidden and kept secret and not been held accountable.
Flight logs tied to a.
Oh, I'm going to say for sure, I wish we could find out exactly who was involved in these things and get some justice for the people that were abused all the way around when it comes down to these people. But when you're sitting there talking that good shit, like you have the dirt and you're going to expose this, and then you start pinning this against your enemies, yet you look like you're also on these lists. When you come up with nothing, it's not going to look good. She had to take time to view them all, which she said she did, and people were kind of calling her out for how long it took for her to put out that information. So,
By the way, we say all this, it just like occurred to me. There was a story in like last year around June, July, I want to say, where one of the victims literally came out and said that Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein played a sick game of like passing the parcel with her when she was like 16 or 15 or 16.
I don't know if that's true or not, because I'm not the one out here talking that good shit.
My problem is like they care about this list, but when an actual victim comes out and says anything, recounts their actual their actual experience, like they disregard it. So what's the fucking point?
Because they need the actual hard evidence and before they believe it. Because if you mention any of this, they'll just sit there with the allegedlys until it's actually like in their face, undeniable. They just think it was Bill Clinton every time, and a little bit of Bill Gates and a little bit of what's his name, Stephen Hawking.
If the list, let's say, actually does come out, and it's just Donald Trump and like 5 other Republicans, and no Democrats, no nothing, do you think they'll believe it?
Yeah, they're gonna have to.
Won't they say the same excuse that they've always had?
Then it was their own Justice Department that threw them under the bus. Which is why the conspiracy that has disappeared doesn't look very good, and why I think their voters will distrust them. Do you see where I'm going with this?
I see it, but it's just like maybe I'm biased for the evidence that I am stating, but yeah, there's evidence to both things. Like you've also stated some evidence for why people might get turned off from Trump. There's also evidence while it might not affect him in any way. So I'm kind of like,
I mean, dead serious. If there was like, because I don't even think there's a list, but you didn't hear that from me. Don't quote that. But let's just say there's a list and it has names on it. They're going to be counting that list to see how many have a D next to their name and how many have an R next to their name. And if there were one more D next to those names than there is R's, they would never shut the fuck up about it.
That's true.
So the fact that this does not exist is probably going to piss them off more than anything.
Basically, they wanted to see the list just so they could implicate some Democrats.
That's especially why they wanted the list. They were frothing at the mouth for it. There's as much of a list as MS-13 tattooed on Abrego's knuckles. Yes, exactly. Oh, this is hilarious.
Accused
I need to
Jeffrey
drop out. Take care.
Epstein have
I'll
been
be
released
Good
to
night,
some
Zucker.
conservative
I'll be
political
lurking back, so-
commentators.
Bye.
They walked out of the White House holding binders labeled the Epstein files.
There was an
They
expectation
had
that this was going to be
binders.
bigger. You had the same expectation.
We all did. And the FBI handed over a couple hundred pages of documents. But, you know, Sean, I gave them a deadline of Friday at 8 a.m. to get us everything. And a source had told me where the documents were being kept. Southern District of New York, shock. So we got them all by, hopefully all of them, Friday at 8 a.m. Thousands of pages of
Talking that
documents.
good shit
I have
in
the FBI
4K.
going through them, and Cash is also. Now that we have Cash here, it's a game changer, of course.
Yep,
And
we
you know,
got
we're going
Cash
to
now.
go through it,
Everything's
go through it
gonna
as
be
fast
better.
as we can, but go through it very cautiously to protect all the victims of Epstein.
Now, is that the only thing that would be redacted? Will everything else be made public?
It's always about protecting the victim. But you know what? We believe in transparency, and America has the right to know.
What we know is that this was a large network of high-profile,
Ooh, this is a
high-dollar
self-cooking turkey.
predators who abused untold numbers of minors. Only one person has been prosecuted for these crimes, and that is Ghislaine Maxwell.
If there was a video of some guy or gal committing felonies on an island and I'm in charge, don't you think you'd see it?
If you have access to it.
If I have it, period.
Right.
If I have it, if I have it.
Right. If you have it.
Right.
But you can't say that you have it.
No, we're giving you everything we have.
So far.
Everything we have so far is...
Have you guys gone over all the video that's available?
Yeah, that's what I'm telling you. That's what takes so much damn time.
Did Jeffrey... See, Joe Rogan, I would say, is also a canary in the coal mine for things like this. Because if Joe Rogan is frothing at the mouth for this information and he's locked in for it, this is going to be one of those things that possibly gets someone like Joe Rogan on the end of, hey, these people betrayed us. And the people that listen to Joe Rogan will probably take that and utilize it when they're voting or making decisions.
Epstein himself, or did somebody kill him?
Senator, I believe he himself in a cell in the Metropolitan Detention Center.
Oh, no.
Are you going to release all the information about that?
Senator, we are working through that right now with the Department of Justice.
You said Jeffrey Epstein committed suicide. People don't believe it.
Well, I mean, listen, they have a right to their opinion, but as someone who has worked as a public defender, as a prosecutor, who's been in that prison system, who's been in the Metropolitan Detention Center, who's been in segregated housing, you know a side when you see one, and that's what that was.
Oh, Dan Bongino looks dead inside. He looks so dead
You want me
inside.
to? I've seen the whole file. The Epstein files. What's the answer to that?
The answer to that is the same as everything else. I'm not going to withhold information from the American public ever, but I'm also not going to rush to get it out there in a format in which they can't
they're
rely
under
on.
duress
So on
now.
the Epstein matter or any other matters, we are diligently working on that, and it takes
hands are
time
tied.
to go through years of investigations, years of political maneuvering, and years of cover-up to get the American people what they deserve. And that's what I'm going to give them. And you're going to get the video of the cell, and you're going to see for yourself.
We do have video. It's not the greatest video in the world. I don't want to set expectations on fire. However, the video does show in that specific block that he goes in, made a phone call. You'll see 12 hours of guards going to basically check on him, come back. You'll see no one really comes out in that bay, in that area,
Just
than him.
saying,
There's no one
mister.
in there. When you combine that with the other evidence we will be releasing in the coming weeks, we're still finalizing some of the products. I think it's pretty clear.
Overnight, the FBI and Justice Department releasing 11 hours of footage they say helps confirm notorious financier Jeffrey Epstein died by suicide in his Manhattan jail cell in 2019. But perhaps the biggest bombshell, investigators say they found no incriminating client list of Epstein's, no credible evidence that Epstein blackmailed
Acting
prominent
like there ever
individuals,
was a
and no
list.
evidence that could predicate an investigation against uncharged third parties.
Alex Costa, he allegedly said that he did work for an intelligence agency. So could you resolve whether or not he did? And also, could you say
they
why
released
there's a
him.
minute missing
Like,
from the jailhouse?
as far as I know, they didn't fuck up. Like, there was some redacted, but there was nothing missing. Oh, yeah, they definitely did fuck up there. So to think they would put out the Epstein information and there would be more information than we should have It's entirely possible, but they put it out. Like, that's the thing. They put out the information because there was nothing on the line. But now that there's something on the line, why aren't they able to put it out? If it exists, they've been saying it exists. Guess we'll never know. It may take years of cutting through red tape and bureaucracy. For defamation, W. Ike. Epstein's family or his estate suing for defamation over what they did. Oh, that would be wild. And then the other question that keeps coming up from our more libertarian friends out there, why is Ghislaine in jail if they don't have any info?
House tape on the night of the set.
Yeah, sure. If I
Pam, could I just interrupt for
Sure.
1 second? Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been talked about
Say
for
they see
years.
as Trump. Yeah,
You're
we can't
asking-
release this.
We have Texas, we have this, we have all of the things. And are people still talking about this guy, this creep? That is unbelievable. Do you want to waste the time, and do you feel like answering?
I don't mind answering.
I mean, I can't believe you're asking a question on Epstein at a time like this where we're having some of the greatest success and also tragedy
Marco doing what
with
he
what
does
happened
best.
in Texas. It just seems like a desecration.
There we go. So let me get up this Alex Jones video, and then I will leave it at that. Let me find this real quick. It shouldn't be funny, but damn it. Oh, it's 15 minutes. No, I don't want 15 minutes. Let me find a shorter video. Where's the video? And Ancom, were you watching any of that?
I was listening along to some of it, yeah.
What do you think?
I mean, it seemed pretty clear from like that really early interview that Trump is like, no, I really don't want the Epstein files. Like, he keeps trying to deflect off of it. So he knows what the fuck is in there. And all of the people who were so gung-ho about those files beforehand clearly didn't. And then they got in office. And they found out. And they were like, shit. That's what it seems like to me.
That is what it seems like. They were all about that good shit, and they were saying, oh, we got this. We're going to release it. You know, this is horrible stuff. And all of a sudden, that energy changed drastically.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, it did.
So here we go.
I never saw any evidence of Trump involved in any of the stuff that came out. It was all fake. The fake Jane Does, all the crap. You know, E. Jean Carroll, the crazy leftist cat lady, all of it. So now, by coming in and being part of the cover-up, the Trump administration has become part of it. I mean, it's just you cannot see it any other way. So I just got to the office. I'm going to go throw up, actually. And this only happens every few years when something really, really bad happens or something. I mean, I'm physically going to puke probably right now. My mouth is watering right now. because I have integrity. And, you know, I just really need the Trump administration to succeed and to save this country. And they're doing so much good. And then for them to do something like this tears my guts out.
Alex Jones couldn't have put it better. The betrayal some of these people feel over this information not coming out, now they are part of the cover-up. Because there has to still be something there. Go ahead, Income?
Yeah, I'm just confirming with you. And I love the claim that he said, you know, because I have integrity. But, you know, at least this is one of the few points where, yes, he actually does seem to be showing some level of integrity.
You love to see it.
You do indeed.
Because I think this is one of those situations where, like, I don't think there's anybody that's going to be pro what this individual was accused of. And for the people that speak most loudly about it, they're going to be the most disappointed. So,
yeah.
On that note, I'm going to go ahead and raid out for the night. I'm about on time. Yeah. I was planning 7:30 and we got this. So we're going to raid into Pisco.
There you go.
Thank you, everyone that came through. I had a blast. I thoroughly enjoyed reading Corey's paper. I learned things I did not expect to learn. It's always good when we learn something. So, as always, chat, appreciate you. You are the true winners. Holler at you next week, or maybe even tomorrow if I'm feeling up to it. Peace out, y'all.
See you later.
I feel like that was good.
Indeed, it was.
Why can't I stop my stream?
I really enjoyed Corey's article. Good shit.
Same here. My computer is tripping. It's not letting me close the stream.